John C. Calhoun was a prominent South Carolina politician who became vice president of the United States under John Quincy Adams, and then, of course, again under Andrew Jackson. He eventually would come to support the idea of nullification. So you're going to want to know that. At first, though, John C. Calhoun was somebody who was a staunch federalist, if you will. He believed in a strong federal system where the government should have quite a significant amount of power at the federal level until the federal government enacted a tariff that drastically hurt the South Carolina economy. And as a South Carolinian, he really took umbrage with how his state was negatively affected by this tariff. And so, somewhat overnight, John C. Calhoun changed his views on government intervention and just how much power the federal government should have. So, he found a number of opportunities to where federal laws could be nullified if they were deemed as being unconstitutional and overstepping of their bounds. So the federal tariffs that negatively affected South Carolina are what changed John C. Calhoun's viewpoints from a strong federal government to more of a states' rights type mindset over the course of a few years. Um, what was also interesting around this time is that John C. Calhoun and Andrew Jackson had become significant friends. Okay? It was almost as if John C. Calhoun was the shoe-in to become the next president once Andrew Jackson's second term was done. Well, things kind of started to change. You see, John C. Calhoun um, was vice president, and of course, Andrew Jackson had his cabinet. The cabinet had somewhat of a council of wives, and it was spearheaded by John C. Calhoun's wife. One of the cabinet members' wives um, was deemed by John C. Calhoun's wife as being loose with morals, if that makes sense. Supposedly, she had been having an affair with her husband while her original husband was still alive, even though he was sick. When her husband died, she shortly married Eaton, one of the other cabinet members. And John C. Calhoun's wife really disagreed with that. She deemed as this woman having an affair was unscrupulous and very unbecoming. And it could be one of these types of situations to where she was not as prim and proper and the type of lady becoming of being the wife of a major political office holder. And John C. Calhoun, being a good husband, defended his wife, who wanted her removed from the cabinet, therefore Eaton being removed from the cabinet. Well, Andrew Jackson wouldn't have it. There were various different stories related to Andrew Jackson and how he met his wife and anything else of the sort as being reasonably similar to how Eaton and his cabinet wife met as well. However, Andrew Jackson would not remove Eaton. And Calhoun, trying to defend his wife and being a good husband, among other things that were starting to kind of stockpile in relation to his disagreements with Andrew Jackson, really kind of came to a head. Andrew Jackson um, and John C. Calhoun started to really disengage with one another, and Calhoun fell out of favor. And Calhoun's loss was Martin Van Buren's gain. So Martin Van Buren would become vice president of the United States and became, or rather, yeah, he became vice president and eventually would run for president. He would become Andrew Jackson's understudy. Otherwise, though, John C. Calhoun, in support of his wife, and among other things, lost favor with Andrew Jackson and therefore had to go a different route to try and run for president. Otherwise, though, the thing that you're going to need to know is that John C. Calhoun advented the idea of nullification, in which no state could defy the federal government without supports from other states, but states' rights led to a nullification of federal laws that were found to be unconstitutional.